I supercharge my plants with this DIY microbe fertilizer that works like magic. There's something deeply satisfying about walking out to your garden and seeing plants that seem to double in size overnight. Stronger stems, greener leaves, faster growth. It feels like a gardener's dream. For years, many of us have chased after expensive store-bought fertilizers, hoping to see those results, only to be left disappointed. But what if I told you that a simple mixture you can make in your own kitchen has the power to kickstart insane plant growth, improve soil health, and save you money at the same time? The secret lies in combining yeast, sugar, and water to brew a powerful microbe-rich fertilizer that transforms ordinary soil into a thriving hub of life. Why yeast and sugar create a growth explosion? At the heart of this method is yeast, a tiny microorganism that's been used for centuries in bread and brewing. What makes yeast special in gardening is its ability to multiply quickly and release beneficial compounds as it feeds on sugar. When you introduce yeast to a sugar solution, it begins to ferment. This process produces carbon dioxide, trace vitamins, amino acids, enzymes, and other natural compounds that plants thrive on. More importantly, this mixture doesn't just feed your plants directly, it feeds the soil. The microbes created during fermentation activate the hidden potential of your soil by breaking down organic matter into nutrients that plants can easily absorb. Think of it as switching your soil from low battery to fully charged. The result is faster root development, improved nutrient uptake, and explosive above-ground growth. The exact formula that works. One of the best parts about this fertilizer is how simple it is to prepare. You don't need complicated ingredients or special equipment. Here's the precise formula I've tested and recommend: 1 tablespoon of active dry yeast, 2 tablespoons of white sugar, and 1 liter of clean, lukewarm water. Alright, so first you want to mix the sugar and yeast into the water until it's all fully dissolved. Then let that solution sit for about 2 hours. This gives the yeast time to activate and start fermenting. Once it's ready, you'll need to dilute the mixture further by adding 5 liters of clean water before you go ahead and apply it to your plants. Now, this dilution step is really crucial because, well, a concentrated solution can actually overwhelm delicate roots. At this ratio, the microbes can thrive, but it's still gentle enough for all sorts of crops: vegetables, fruiting plants, flowers, and even young seedlings. So, how do you apply the fertilizer for the best results? The best time to use it is during active growth periods, when your plants need the most energy. Just apply the diluted solution once every 2 weeks by watering it right into the soil around the base of your plants. That way, the microbes reach the root zone, where they can get to work unlocking nutrients and really stimulating growth. For seedlings or, very young plants, it's best to start with half the recommended amount to avoid stressing them. Once they get those stronger root systems established, you can go ahead and switch to the full dose. And for fruiting and flowering crops, applying this fertilizer during early flowering can really encourage stronger blossoms and, well, more abundant yields. Traditional fertilizers often focus on NPK, that's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but honestly, they overlook something critical: soil biology. Plants just can't make use of nutrients effectively if the soil doesn't have enough microbial life. That's where this yeast-based fertilizer really shines. It doesn't just supply trace nutrients, it actually introduces an army of living microbes that keep the soil alive and constantly recycling food for your plants. Think of microbes as your garden's workforce. They break down organic matter, fix nitrogen, release growth hormones, and even help protect your plants from harmful pathogens. When you feed them sugar and yeast, you're really giving them a head start to multiply and, well, take over the soil ecosystem in your favor. Gardeners who start using this mixture are often shocked at how quickly the results appear. Within just a few days, plants look more vibrant, and leaves take on a deeper shade of green thanks to improved chlorophyll production. Over the next several weeks, you'll notice faster leaf expansion, stronger stems, and better resistance to stress. Perhaps the most exciting benefit is the impact on fruiting and flowering crops. Plants not only grow bigger, but also produce more blossoms, which means more fruits and vegetables at harvest time. Root crops like carrots and beets also respond really well, because the improved soil biology helps them expand more evenly underground. Another advantage of this fertilizer is how it improves soil over time. Unlike synthetic fertilizers, which can cause soil to become compacted and lifeless with repeated use, yeast-based fertilizer actually builds fertility. Every time you apply it, you're adding more microbial life, which creates looser, healthier soil that retains moisture better and resists erosion. This makes it an excellent choice for gardeners who want sustainable results. You're not just feeding your plants today, you're creating a self-renewing system where the soil itself becomes more fertile with every application. Common mistakes to avoid. Although this fertilizer is simple, there are a few key mistakes to avoid if you want the best results. The first is using hot water when mixing the yeast and sugar. Too much heat kills the yeast before it has a chance to activate. Always use lukewarm water to encourage fermentation. The second mistake is over-application. More is not always better. Using the solution too often can lead to nutrient imbalances or root stress. Stick to once every 2 weeks for most crops and scale back if you notice any signs of yellowing or leaf burn. Finally, don't store the mixture for too long. Once yeast is activated, it quickly consumes the available sugar and begins to lose effectiveness. Prepare only what you can use within 24 hours for maximum potency. You know, many gardeners are drawn to store-bought fertilizers because, well, they're convenient and those flashy promises on the packaging sure can be tempting. But the truth is, those products often rely on chemical salts that give your plants a quick boost, but it's really at the expense of your soil's long-term health. They might green up your plants for a little while, but honestly, they don't do much to improve the underlying ecosystem. Now, the yeast and sugar method, on the other hand, works with nature instead of against it. It harnesses living organisms to create a cycle of growth that doesn't just fade away as soon as the fertilizer wears off. It's not only more affordable, but also, it's more effective in producing sustainable, healthy growth throughout the whole season. For gardeners who enjoy a bit of experimenting, this basic formula can be expanded with other natural ingredients. By adding a small amount of compost tea, or even a handful of well-rotted manure during the dilution stage, you introduce a lot more microbial diversity. And, some folks toss in a teaspoon of molasses for extra sugar, which helps keep those microbes active for longer. These variations can supercharge the mixture further, making it even more powerful for heavy-feeding crops like tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers. But, even the basic yeast and sugar recipe alone is enough to transform an average garden into a lush, productive space. Gardening often feels like trial and error, but every now and then, a method comes along that changes the game entirely. This yeast and sugar fertilizer is one of those discoveries. It's cheap, natural, and incredibly effective, not only for pushing plant growth to new levels, but also for building long-term soil health. If you've been struggling with slow-growing crops, weak seedlings, or tired soil, this is your chance to flip the switch and see what your plants are truly capable of. Mix up a batch, give it a try, and just watch how quickly your garden responds with greener leaves, stronger stems, and more abundant harvests. For more powerful gardening tips like this, make sure to subscribe to Growth Hub Central Crops and share this resource with fellow gardeners. Together, we can grow smarter, healthier, and more productive gardens season after season.